Hey students, this video is about the annotated bibliography option for the writing assignment. You may have already watched the video about the essay option, so I just want to review, just in case you haven't, that the objectives for either option are to think more deeply about and develop a richer understanding of one of the masterpieces of African American literature, and also to develop your skills in analysis and interpretation of literature. These are things that you already have done and maybe in previous classes, and you've certainly started doing these things in discussion posts in our class. But this gives you a chance to do this in a more sustained and developed way. So there are two writing assignments this semester, and the first one is coming up in about a month. And the first one needs to be on one of our two novels, either Song of Solomon or The Underground Railroad, your choice. The second writing assignment isn't until December, and that can be on any of the other texts in our syllabus that you didn't write the first time around. Okay, so I want to make clear that for the grading of this assignment, I have changed the approach. Instead of doing an A, B, C, D, F option that you are all familiar with, I'm going to use what's called specifications grading. This is a research-backed approach to grading that does show good results for students. So basically with this, if you meet the requirements for the assignment, if you meet the expectations, you get credit. Okay, if you do not meet the expectations, you get partial credit, the equivalent of a D or 65%. Okay, the rubrics will show how to meet the expectations and also how to exceed expectations, so you can still push yourself to go above and beyond average. Again, why am I doing this? Because research supports that this is something that helps students do better, perhaps because that pressure of getting an A or a B is gone and you can focus instead on actual learning. If you have any more questions about specifications grading and this approach, again, read the rubrics and then feel free to let me know. All right, so as you know, you have an option to write a traditional essay where you pose a thesis statement and support it. And then you also have the option to write an annotated bibliography. If you want to do the essay, watch the other video. I want to talk about the annotated bibliography for this assignment. This is a great option if you like to do research, but you don't like to do a traditional research paper, because this will require you to do that research and dig deeply into what scholars have to say about something that you're interested in. And then you present that in the form of an annotated bibliography instead of an essay. So you're going to be researching at least 3 articles. At least 2 of them should be scholarly journal articles that you locate through OneSearch, excuse me. More on that in a minute. You will summarize and evaluate each of those sources in your annotated bibliography. An annotated bibliography basically means a bibliography or a list of sources with notes. So it starts with the citation, well, it'll start with an introduction in which you summarize what you've learned. Then you'll have a citation for your first source and some writing about that, a citation for your next source, plus writing about that, and so on. So it looks like a works cited list, except that underneath each citation, you have some writing describing the source, summarizing the source, and also giving me your evaluation of how good you think the source is. Okay, so let's take a look at the assignment. I am going to go to our course homepage in D2L. I'm going to click Content on the top menu bar. And then I'm going to go to this top module, course information, syllabus schedule, etc. This is where assignments have been posted this semester, and the writing assignment is here. Okay, hopefully you've read this by now. I've already discussed these things. I do want to emphasize this part right here, that I'm available to help you. So if you're not sure if your source meets my expectations, you can email me with the link and ask me. Or if you want me to review a draft of what you have, either for all of your sources or just a partial draft, you can set up a virtual appointment with me or an on-campus. You can drop in on-campus office hours, and I'd be happy to help you with any part of this. Our librarians are also super happy to help with research. So don't feel like you're doing this on your own. Okay, so I'm going to skip down to page 3 of the assignment handout and go over these requirements. So generally, depending upon the grade you're going for, you're going to locate at least 3 scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles about the novel. I shouldn't say depending upon the grade. What I mean to say is whether you want to just merely meet expectations or exceed them. So I want to talk to you about what I mean by peer-reviewed and scholarly articles, okay? Because I realize this might not be clear to everybody. So scholarly articles are articles that are published in scholarly journals. A journal is like a magazine. It's a collection of articles on a particular topic. Every major discipline in academics has a number of scholarly journals where professors publish their research. So these are written by literature scholars, by professors and graduate students who are doing scholarship on the literature, and generally their audience is other literature scholars, right? So sometimes that means that the articles can be a little bit difficult to read because they're imagining other people with PhDs who are experts, right? So sometimes you have to challenge yourself to read them. They do contain more detailed, in-depth analysis, so they're going to be longer than your average newspaper or magazine article, for the most part. There are exceptions to that. Okay, so when you go into OneSearch through our library's webpage, you can make sure that you're getting a scholarly journal article in a couple of ways. You can limit the search, or you can look for where it tells you about a scholarly journal article. Let me just jump into a new tab and show you that. I'm going to go to the Prairie State College Library. And here is OneSearch. That's just the name of the search tool that Prairie State uses. It will match up with all kinds of sources in Prairie State's many, many databases that your tech fees help to pay for. So it's going to have stuff that you can't find on Google. It might also have stuff that you could find on Google, but Google asks you, the publisher asks you for a membership fee or something to read the article. You can get them for free here now that you've paid your tuition and fees at Prairie State. So let me take a look. I'm going to type in Song of Solomon. Oh, I must have done this search before because it wants to autocomplete, by Toni Morrison, and see what it says. And while I wait for these results, here we go. So I know this is cut off here on the margins. Okay, there. So I fixed the margins. So what you'll see, first of all, is our ebook that I told you guys about. And then you'll start seeing a variety of sources from different publications. Here's an academic journal. You know this one would qualify. This one is from a newspaper, the Washington Post. And this might not be long enough. It might not really fit the bill. So what I want to do here is filter to academic journals. You're still going to get a lot of them. Okay? And here you will see all these different scholarly journal articles. I also think I want to limit, I'm limited to full text, so we should be able to get the full text of all these sources. But look at these titles. From here, you might be able to figure out what sounds really interesting to you and then take a look at some of these articles. You can hover on this icon over here with the magnifying glass, and sometimes there will be, sometimes there will be an abstract which summarizes the source, so you can decide if that's something you want to read more about. Okay? All right, so that's how you can find your articles. From there, you can email them to yourself so that you can read them later. If you're on campus and you want to print something out, you can do that in the computer labs if you have the change for it, or you can stop by my office and I can help you. Okay, so let's go back to the actual assignment. You're going to be locating these assignments, these articles, you're going to be reading them through, and then you're going to write up about your findings. Okay, I think it might be useful before we go further to look at samples. So I'm going to go back to the table of contents. Okay, so I'm in the module writing about literature resources, and I'm going to look at sample assignments, and here is a sample annotated bibliography. The requirements for her were a little bit different for yours, so keep your requirements in mind. Notice how, oh, she doesn't have an introduction. You need to add an introduction that summarizes what you learned. But here, the citation for the source is provided. Your citation might look slightly different, but notice it includes the fact that she found this in one of the databases through OneSearch. So that's how I know she met that requirement. Notice she's got a very long summary. She exceeds the expectations here of what the source says. And then she ends that by providing some evaluation of the source. Here again is a citation for her second source. It's another scholarly journal article that she found through OneSearch. She's got a long summary of the source. You don't have to write nearly as much summary. And then here, she provides her own evaluation, her own thoughts about what is strong about the piece and what is weak about the piece. And her third source, again, little tiny details. The sources are alphabetized. She's using hanging indent. She's got a long summary of the source. And then she evaluates a little bit. Okay? So that gives you the gist of the assignment, I hope, of how it might be done. Okay, so I'm going to go back and look at the assignment again and just go over a few more things with you. Here we are. So again, you will find your sources. You'll write an introduction after you've read them to summarize what you've learned. You'll write an MLA citation of your article, and I'll tell you how to do that, or you can use any of the resources that you find online for MLA citations. In the database, it will let you, it'll give you an option to print out the MLA citation for you, which is a nice feature. So after your citation, you'll summarize your article and you'll evaluate what you liked about it, how it helped you understand the novel. Maybe there's something you didn't like about it that you would want to touch on as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the rubric. Like the essay rubric, it has 3 columns. The middle one is what to do if you want to meet expectations. And so you'll notice these minimum expectations here. You're generally going to be providing evidence of good research, okay? And then you're going to have an intro that's at least 125 words long. You're going to cover at least 3 sources, and at least 2 of them are scholarly journal articles from OneSearch, like I showed you. If you want to exceed expectations, you'll have at least 3 scholarly sources and 4 total. Okay, the annotations will be detailed and accurate and nicely written, at least 200 words for each one, alphabetized, and generally clear writing. Okay, so that's the basics for the annotated bibliography assignment. If there's anything that's not clear here, or if there's any way I can help you with this, make sure that you let me know. Again, if it's help with research, I can do that with you on in a virtual appointment. We can search together. And the librarians are super happy to help you. In fact, let me show you when you go to Prairie State's library, this Ask a Librarian service here is super helpful. And also you will typically notice when you're on the library homepage, a pop-up window will appear after a while, and you'll be able to chat with a librarian. So there's all kinds of ways that you can get help. Okay, I hope that you find something that you're interested in researching. This is a great way to learn more about something in a novel that you'd really like to learn more about, and experience the way that literary analysis works. Be in touch with me with your questions and have fun with this.